Alright, so we're going to be focusing on angles here. So angle is just is formed by two rays with a common endpoint with degrees. So to measure the size, and we use degrees to measure the size of the angle. So right here it shows the example of an angle. So you've got two rays that share a common endpoint here. Oops. Okay, that's called the vertex, that endpoint where they join, and you got your arms, and then they measure this angle right here in degrees. Okay, so there's the three most famous angles. So all angles are known as one of these three. So a 90-degree angle is a quarter of a rotation. It is also known as a right angle. So right angles are 90-degree angles, and they have to be exactly 90 degrees. Okay, so now see if you can answer this one first. Angles that measure less than 90. All right, those are acute angles. Acute angles are angles that are less than 90. Okay, so likewise, measures are angles that measure greater than 90 degrees. What kind of angle is that? Right, that is an obtuse angle. So obtuse angles are angles that are bigger than 90 degrees. Okay. And so what I want you to do now, go ahead and answer what type of angles each one of these are. Right, so 32 is less than 90, so that is an acute. 108 is greater than 90, so that is obtuse. 89, smaller than 90, even though it's very close, it's still an acute angle. And then 90 degrees, that would be a right triangle or right angle. Okay. So once again, definition measures exactly 90. This is a right angle. Okay, measures 90. So now two angles whose sum is 90, so two angles that make a right triangle, A and B, are complementary. Likewise, a 25-degree angle and 95-degree angles are complementary. So these are complementary angles. Two angles that when you add them up, they form a 90-degree angle, or two angles that are made by splitting a 90-degree angle up. Okay, likewise, there's two angles whose sum is 180. So over here, you'll notice it is a straight line with an intersecting vector. Okay, and the two angles, they have to equal 180 degrees because it's a straight line, and a straight line makes 180 degrees. So those are called supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles that equal 180 degrees, and they're made from dividing a straight line. Okay, next one. So angles that share a vertex and a common side. So these two angles share the vertex, and the common side they share is OB. So there's AOB, there's BOD. Those two angles together are adjacent angles. Okay, then you've got angles formed by two intersecting lines that are opposite each other. They have equal measures. So A over here and B, they're both made from these two intersecting lines, and they are opposite each other. Therefore, they are vertical angles. Okay, and then angles are related because they have the same measure. We can use this sign to note. So the sign they're talking about is a equal sign with kind of a squiggly above it. So now angles that are related because they have the same measure, we use that as we call those congruent angles. Congruent meaning they are the same. Okay, here now, go ahead and take some time to answer these 3 questions. So 3, 4, and 5. Angle A and angle B are blank angles. So they are formed by 2 intersecting lines and they are opposite each other. So their values should be the same. So they are vertical angles. Okay, likewise we've got A and B. It looks like they share a vertex and share a common side. Therefore A and B would be adjacent angles. So 2 angles that share a common side. Okay, then 5. So these angles are, so you've got 2 angles, both of them are 48 degrees. So they would be congruent angles. So 2 angles that are equal. Okay. So what we can do with this information is use it to solve some missing values. And we can use this, or we can solve this by writing an equation. So we know that these 2 lines right here, or sorry, these 2 angles, so that one it tells us is 120. Okay, this one also has to be 120 because those are vertical angles. They're crossed from 2 intersecting lines. So now we need to find what y equals. Well, we know this is a 90-degree angle. It has the block or the square in the corner notifying that's 90 degrees. So we know that 120 has to equal y plus 90. So you can do 120 equals y plus 90. So we are going to minus 90 from both sides because we need to isolate the variable. And what you're left with is 30 equals y. Okay, go ahead and see if you can figure out this one. You've got x and y. So our first step, find x. Okay, so these are vertical angles. They intersect and they're opposite each other, or there are 2 straight lines that intersect. So 117 is equal to x. Okay, so now that we know 117 plus some number has to equal 180, so 180 is equal to 2y plus 1 minus 117. So first I can combine my like terms before I move on. Positive 1 plus 117 is going to be a minus 116. And this would be 2y is equal to, that'd still be 180 degrees. Okay, so now we have a 2-step equation. You're just going to add the 116 to both sides. Okay, this is going to give me 6, 9, 2. So that's 269. Sorry, 296. Okay, and that is going to be equal to now 2y. So as I was looking at this, I didn't think that looked right. I was going to say it's too big of an angle. Okay. So to get 180 degrees, you are taking 2y plus 1, and you're plussing 117. Okay, so now 2-step equation. We're going to add like terms first, so you get 180 is equal to 2y. 1 plus 117 is 118. Okay, now to get rid of that, we have to minus 118 from both sides. Okay, so here we're going to be left with 162 is equal to 2y. Now we can divide by 2. So once again, those two-step equations, add or subtract, then multiply or divide. When you divide 162 into 2, you get 81. And over here, the 2's are going to cancel out, leaving you with y is equal to 81. All right, last one. Go ahead and see if you can solve on your own. And then we'll go over it. Okay, so right off, we can see these are two intersecting lines. Therefore, this 115 is a vertical angle to 5x minus 5, which tells us then that 5x minus 5 is equal to 115. Okay, so we've got a two-step equation. In order to get rid of this, we have to add 5, which is just going to give us 5x is equal to 110. Last step, two-step equation is divide or multiply. In this case, we need to divide. That's going to cancel out, leaving us with the x, and that's going to be equal to, so 5 can go to 11. 5, or, no, I'm writing the wrong thing down. Can go into the 11 two times. That would have a remainder of 1, bring down the 0. 5 can go into 10 two times. And there, so we've solved for x. Now that we know that, we can also solve for y. You could use that, but we already know that it's 115. And it's going to be plus that 2y minus 3 is equal to 180. Okay, it's a two-step equation. First, though, we can combine our like terms. So 115 minus 3, that's going to give us 112 plus 2y. Okay, we cross-simplified. Sorry, not cross-simplified. We combine like terms to simplify. Now we can subtract this 112 because we have to do the additive inverse of it. So that's going to leave us with 2y is equal to, when you minus 112 from 180, we're left with 60, and then 10 minus 2, 8. Okay, now we know that y is 2 of those, so to undo our multiplication of 2, we divide both sides by 2. That's going to leave us with y is equal to, half of 68 is going to be 34. So there you have it. So these are the type of things that you'll need to be able to do on the assignment. So go ahead and, once you finish this video, log into Google Classroom and click on the link or click on the assignment labeled 228 angles, and then go ahead and complete that quiz